Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Giant, welcome to the show. We want to start by just going like, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Wolverhampton? And if so, how was that?
Yeah, I grew up in Wolverhampton, man. I've lived here all my life. A few different areas in Wolverhampton, but yeah, mainly I grew up in an area called Lowell in Wolverhampton, Council Estate. A bit of a, one of them ones, but I think it made me the person, I am today, And yeah, I love Wolverhampton, to be honest. It's not as special, I suppose, but it's where I'm from, and I love it, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with a council estate, mate. I grew up in a council estate in Peckham, I think the best people come from there. So, yeah, that's it. And Peckham's a very, very different place now to what it was when I was growing up there. It's all gentrified now. People are like, oh, let's go out for a night in Peckham. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? Like, what are you doing? Back in the 90s and the early 2000s, you were not going for a night out in Peckham, let me assure you. But yeah, so was it a place where you felt like you had to be comfortable with confrontation in Wolverhampton?
Yeah, 100%. Don't get me wrong, not everywhere in Wolverhampton. It's just like every other place, isn't it? There is nice parts of Wolverhampton, but where I grew up is like, I am 100%, man. And if you weren't comfortable with it, and people saw, then you were just going to be a victim. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So basically, you had to stick up for yourself, and not just stick up for yourself, but I feel like you had to sort of prove yourself as well to get respect of other people. You know what I mean? So yeah, I got in a bit of, it is growing up. Like I say, if you come from Peckham, you must know what I'm talking about, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I probably I was indoors playing computer games and not really going out. I dealt with it that way. I was like, I'm not really cut out for that kind of lifestyle. I'm just going to kind of hide away for a few years, But yeah, so is that what led you down the pathway to kind of get into martial arts then? The idea of like, I need to be able to handle myself, or was it something else that led you to martial arts?
No, I mean, I've had fights when I was in school, out of school. Before I was doing MMA, I could handle myself before I did MMA. To be honest with you, I didn't go like, I wasn't a bully or going looking to fight people and stuff like that. But if you stuck it on me, I'll have it with you. You know what I mean? But I think MMA, I've always loved the fighting. I was quite hyper as a child, very active. I mean, my dad, I always wanted to play football, but he wouldn't take me to football. He took me to rugby because he found that suited me more. I was more because I was a rough kid. You know what I mean? So I did a lot. I played a lot of rugby. I played for Wolverhampton when I was younger, but I was like really skinny, and so when I got to like getting teenagers, it was getting quite hard for me, the rugby, because all the lads, they were like grown men. You know what I mean? So I was getting knocked about a bit, and obviously I got distracted, from like when I was early teenagers, I was getting distracted. I got kicked out of school, hanging around the streets and stuff like that. So yeah, but I think I've always liked MMA. I used to watch it on Bravo and stuff when it was like the back in the day, Bravo. Do you remember the channel Bravo?
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
Who was you watching, Jai? Who was inspiring you then?
I can remember Chuck Liddell was always my favourite. I remember Chuck Liddell. I remember like Matt Hughes, GSP. Oh, I remember all them guys, man. I remember watching it even later on. I don't think I was watching them, but I remember watching old footage of is it Mark Weir and stuff like that, people like that. Like the first people, like British guy, I think he was Mark Weir. I think it was he went in the UFC. I was so I was watching it back in the day. But then like a gym, there was a gym down the road for me, did like karate and stuff. And then it said like MMA on the side of the door, on the sorry, I lost you there. Can you see me?
Yeah, you're good, man.
Yeah, it had MMA on the wall outside, and I'm like, MMA? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go down and try it, man. Probably get battered or whatever, but you know what? I'm just gonna go in there and get a bit fit and that. Went in there, and then next thing I'm just like a few years later, I'm in the UFC. Only guy from Wolverhampton to do it. Do you know what I mean? So it was just. I think I was born to do something like this, some sort of fighting or something like that. I reckon I don't know. Because if you think about it, I was I was 21, like when I first went in there, and I'd left it for a couple of years because I went on working away in London and Edinburgh, and then I come back, and then at 24, I started again and I had my first amateur fight around 24, 25, 26 turned pro, and then like by 31, I think it was 31, 32, 31, I got in the UFC. So like I think like to get into the UFC at like such a late age, you know, I was obviously, you know, I was meant to do this. You know what I mean? I truly believe that, like, I was meant to do some sort of fighting or something.
You picked it up very late as well. I mean, to get
That's
into that age, are you always someone that picked things up very quickly?
Not really. I never really like. I can't really think of anything that I've like picked up or done, and I'm just like, oh, I've been really good at it. Like, I was no good in school at anything really, except for I was okay at football, but I was always in trouble, so they would never let me in the football team. Do you know what I mean? I think I had one game for the school, because I must have been behaving for like a week or something. They let me play, and then that was it. But like rugby, I was okay, but I weren't big enough. Like at that age, I can't really think. I just feel like, I don't know, man. I just when I seen, like, because I loved it so much and I was so intrigued by it, my mind was just like, oh, I just got addicted to it. I'm still addicted to it now. Like, I'm still chasing like perfection, even though you'll never get it. You just got chasing like the perfection of like, all these techniques and that. But I think that's why I've got so good at it, and I was just obsessed and I was just addicted to it.
Did any of the sort of disciplines come easier than others? Did like the BJJ come easier, or did the stand-up come easier? Like, was there any that sort of you instantly just thought, oh, right, I feel really comfortable with this?
Yeah, I think the kickboxing came a lot easier for me. I think because I was probably a bit ignorant at the start of my career. My start of training, I just thought, oh, I'm really good at this. I got good fitness. You know, they can never hold me down for ages. I'll just get back up and just batter them, like, you know, like. So I don't get me wrong. I've trained properly. I've done all the martial arts, but I concentrated more on just being a top striker and like, you know, and just defending, like grappling. Whereas now, and I've moved to Renegade and stuff. I'm training more like a pro. I'm trying to, like, you know, I'm being more, since the past few years, I'm developing my wrestling, my jiu-jitsu, my attacks. You know what I mean? Even though I haven't showed it as such, but when the time comes, you know, people will see that I can. I mean, if people come down the gym and wrestle with me, certain fighters, like, did you see, like, oh, this guy can actually grapple? You know, you'd be surprised. But I don't think, at the start of my career, I didn't really, you know, I was like, because I was so good, I took the striking really well. You know, I went that way with it. I just went like crazy with the striking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I believe, though, if I was like, if I really loved the grappling, I believe I could have got like super, like really, really like good at like the jiu-jitsu and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But I was just so in love with the striking.
So, one of the things that we like to ask is more about, you know, the physical side of training. You know, I don't think that's ever to be questioned. We can see, you know, that we can see that when we look at you, you're in obviously tip-top condition. But just looking at the last fight, I want to know about the kind of how you went into that fight mentally, because, you know, what was it, something in your head where, you know, was it a possibility that if you didn't get that win, you could be cut from the UFC? Because I think Karma's been dropped, hasn't he, recently? Yeah. I believe, from the UFC. Yeah. And I just wonder if that was a concern and was in your head, and how you deal with the mental side of training.
He said it was a possibility. It was a certain, basically. Like, you know, it was like me or him, basically. We was on down the road. So I knew that I had that going into the fight, to come off 2 losses. And I think with Karma as well, he'd had a knockout, he'd had a submission win in the UFC. So he'd already had a couple of wins. So I think if I'd have gone in the UFC and just gone 0-3 and then gone, you know, it would have been like, oh, I'd have just been the guy that, oh, he weren't good enough to that was that guy who went in the UFC and lost 3 times. Do you know what I mean? That was it. That's, even though I'd have tried to get back there, I just feel like you would have had that over my head, like, for the rest of my like career or whatever. Do you know
was that on your
game.
was that on your brain then, leading up to it? The
Yeah.
thought of like, I was a champion in Cage Warriors and a big deal, and there's a lot of high hopes put on you, and then you get to the UFC, and had you lost that fight against Karma, that would have been 3 losses cut. And do you ever then think, oh God, were you going into that fight thinking, wondering if you did have what it takes to get a win in the UFC? Like that kind of, we speak to fighters about it a lot, that imposter syndrome thing, that self-doubt. Did you have that, and how difficult was it to overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, it was I had that going through camp. I had that in my mind, but I tried to put it back. Like I had that, like the one side, I had that like in my mind, like boom, you're not good enough to be here. You shouldn't, like, you've lost the first 2. If you lose the next one, you're down the road. Like, and he's just a fluke. You've got this fight, it's just a fluke. That you think that in your head, like, even though you look back at your fights and everything, the people that you fought, but you just feel like yourself, like, nah, you just got lucky. But then you got the other side of your mind. It's like, there's no way this guy's beating me. I ain't coming all the way here, and like, no way I'm getting dropped from the UFC. I mean, I've even been in there, like, after the first 2 fights. It's a bit like surreal. Like, I'm in the UFC. You see, you're touching the canvas. Like, you can see all the people outside, and like, there's all the people you've seen on the telly and that. Like, you're like, wow. And you're thinking, like, oh, I bet they're all looking at me thinking, oh, this guy, who's this geezer? Like, he's gone. He's down the road soon. Do you know what I mean? But I just had to put it up to the back of my mind. And then as soon as I touched gloves with him, I just knew, like, oh, nah, he ain't beating me. As soon as I get a chance, as soon as he comes out of shape, he's gone, like. And that's what happened.
And just, before you made that walk out there, and just in general, your walkouts, throughout your career, talk us through what your process is when you're in that back room just before you get the shot to walk out. Like, we always intrigued to know what fighters' kind of habits are. We spoke to fighters where some of them are like, I just have a sleep, which just seems insane. And then you got other people say, they'll roll or they'll hit pads. Like, just wonder what your routine is.
Usually depends. Like certain shows, you have to be there bloody like 4 or 5 hours before the fight, and like you're sitting in the back room. So I just usually go to sleep then. But with the UFC, you get about a couple of hours or so. You're in the back, and in them hours, like a couple of hours, you got to like get changed. You got to do a drug test, piss test. You got to get your hands wrapped, and then you got to warm up. But I like to get my hand. Some people like to get the hand wrapped straight away, but I like to leave it as late as possible to get my hand wrapped. And I like to warm up but sharp. I don't like to do too much because all the nervousness, like, it drains you. You just drains you, man. It zaps you. All that nervous energy. So I try to keep it to the last minute, like, and try and stay sharp. Just keep myself nice and relaxed. Loose. Just staying loose in that, and that's about it. Yeah, really. But I like I say, I try and keep all. I don't really like doing too much warm up, but I do it obviously because you have to. So I like to leave it to like the last moment. I have to do it, like, say, like 30 minutes before the fight, because when I start warming up, then I start knowing, oh shit, now it's on, now it's real. You know what I mean? And I start getting that nervous energy, and I try to keep that as much little as possible, so it doesn't fatigue me.
Yeah, well, we've spoken about like the doubts that come from having a couple of losses and maybe like potentially getting cut if you lose again and that kind of thing. But you didn't. You got a fantastic finish. You got a big win.
Yeah, man.
How did you celebrate?
Yeah, so I was just a bit like, it hadn't sank in, like, really. After I'd done it, I was like, wow. I felt like this is the beginning, man. This is the beginning, you know what I mean? It wasn't really like, oh my God, I've done it, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh, this is the beginning. So it was a bit like surreal, but let me tell you, like, after the fight, I did my interviews, and then I was in the minibus on the way back to the hotel. It was like 11:30 in the morning, because we fight really early in the Apex. So I was like 8:30. So I was like, oh, I can't go straight in the piss. So what we did, we went straight to the strip, got something to eat, and then we just went through the hotels and not getting on the piss, like, got on the junk, man. You know what I mean? A few cocktails and that, you know what I'm saying? A few beers.
So this was Vegas, was it? You were just
Vegas,
like,
Vegas, yeah. Me and my team went out, like.
What was your favourite hotel that you went round for a drink and stuff?
My favourite hotel, man. Oh, I like Caesar's Palace, to be honest.
It's the classic, isn't it? It's a
the
classic Caesar's
bro.
Palace.
Massive. The Venetian's lovely as well. And to be honest, I went into the first time I went in Flamingos. I went there last time, and I went into like this bar and at the back, and that was all right. They had some food there as well, and a few drinks, man. That was class.
I'll tell you what I love about Caesar's Palace, and this is so just shit of me because it's just like a chain place. I love a cheesecake factory. I love a big slab, a huge big slab of cake. And I'm like, yep, there's one of those in there. I'll go in there.
I think I was like, it was this coming towards the end of the night, and I bought like 2 massive cheesecakes. Took them back to the hotel and that. Never had them. Like, fell asleep. Woke up in the morning. I just like, fuck it. I took them on the plane and that, and had them on the plane instead. You know what I mean? Looking gorgeous. Lovely, man.
Is that what's your fate after a fight then? Like, what's your go-to meal? What's your favorite food?
Do you know what it is? A lot of people, I know people ask these questions, because I think people like don't eat that like nice after the. Like, do you know me, right? Yeah, I have a cheat day every Saturday. Like, doesn't matter.
Even in the lead up to like camp, the weight cuts. Yeah.
Like the week before my fight, I still have a cheat day on a Saturday because, like I can't do it. I can't do dieting like 4 weeks like without nothing nice. I just can't do it. So I diet hard in the week, so then I can get that Saturday. I can get a nice meal. Nice, and a pack of biscuits and a cup of tea. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I love, mate. Biscuit monster I am. But yeah, I love my Jamaican food in it. So I'll just go to the Jamaican shop and get like oxtail and all them thing there, fried chicken and that.
You know nice roti or something. Lovely.
Yeah,
stuff.
You get me. Dumplings, everything.
just looking back at your record and stuff, I see that there was there should have been a fight with Mark DeCasey. That never happened, and I just wonder, is that a fight that you'd still like to happen at some point?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it will happen. I think they'll only do that in England, you see,
sure,
in London. Yeah, I don't think they would put like 2 English guys on together against each other like overseas. So I think down the line, if it was in England, I'll be up for that fight. But like I said, I'm not on the March card in London, so I don't know what plans they got for Mark and that. So I'm not too sure. But yeah, Mark's a top fight. I know he lost his last fight and that, but he's a top athlete. I'm sure he'll be back. So yeah, that'd be the fight.
You say you're not on the March card in London.
Nah.
Does that mean you've signed anything for another time, or another time where you'll be fighting?
Nah, man. I mean, I thought I would have been on the London card, but like when I got in touch with my manager, they were like, "Oh, it's already full. Like it's all full."
Really?
Yeah, apparently. I thought they'd have had me on there, to be honest. Like, the Black Country Banger and that.
Yeah.
I thought it would be good to be not getting the mic and stuff after I knocked someone out. But nah. To be honest, bro, I've got to get my I'm waiting to get my my second vaccination, and then when I'm fully vaccinated, then I can get over to America and stuff. I'll get that in January. So after that, I'll be probably in the States somewhere.
I'm surprised by the fact that like March is still a relatively long time away. There's a lot of fights that are booked with only like 6 weeks notice, 8 weeks notice, stuff like that.
Well, to be honest, let's have it right. Like if there's a pull out there, or if there's an opportunity, like I'll probably be on it. Like I'll jump on it. Yeah. But as we speak now, it's booked. It's fully booked. Apparently.
Wow.
Well, the last London card that didn't end up being in London, that was a doomed card, wasn't it? Like everything that was exciting and lined up, and it just seemed each week it was like, Nathaniel's broke his hand, and then it was another thing, and every fight that was lined up on that just all seemed to fall through. So fingers crossed we get a really good stacked card, and hopefully we get to see you scrap on that in March, Jai. That'd be amazing.
Hopefully, man.
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
So we also like to ask fighters about social media. There's loads of positives with social media. Some, particularly for fighters, you can use it for sponsorships. You grow in like your brand and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but there's a lot of negativity that comes with social media, whether it be the trolls or whether it be just like for me, it's just a fucking time vacuum. It's like my thumb works independently from my brain, and I'll check like a WhatsApp message, and without me even wanting to, my thumb just goes Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is, and then I'll find myself scrolling for 5-10 minutes and going, oh, why am I wasting my time doing this? So do you think of social media as a positive or a negative thing?
As it's positives, I know it's negative. Like like building your brand, sponsorships, as you said. Like, yeah, but boy, it's a bit of because I'm not in my 30s, isn't it? Like I'm early 30s, so it's a bit of a nose for me, to be honest. I don't know about yourself, but I just find it a nose, man. But it's got to be done. Like as a fighter in the UFC, you've sort of got to do it, man. But like I'll go through a couple of weeks where I'm trying to post every day, and then like I'll go for a week, I just can't be arsed with it. Like, you know, I just it's just a pain. But you know, you've got to like push yourself and stuff, because then basically we're in an era where the more followers you got, the more bloody exposed you're gonna get, or you know, the more you're gonna get pushed.
Yeah.
So that's how it is nowadays. So you just got to pull up with it.
And talking about sort of finding time to do things, am I right in saying, you know, until not that long ago, you were scaffolding still?
Yeah. So before I got signed, I think I was like, what's it, 2020? I think 2020, like the start after Christmas, I did a month, and then after that, I quit. As soon as I got signed to UFC, I quit my day job. A couple of my coaches were like, look, you need to fully like go full out on this. Like you can't be scaffolding. Like even a couple of times, bro, like I've thought, I might go back to work for like a month or something, go back to scaffolding, like get some more money in, because you know I ain't got to fight. Nothing's like the UFC ain't booking me, or like I've been injured or something, and I can't I can't get booked for a fight or something like that. I thought I'll go back to work, but one of my coaches like, nah, you can't go back to scaffolding. You need to be trained, like improving and training. But yeah, like mate, trust me, I was like a full-time grafting when I won the Cage Warriors title and defended it. You know what I mean? Bro, the bills got to get paid.
That's mad, isn't it? To be a world champion and still have to like be a scaffolder or whatever other jobs people are doing out there. I mean, what I wanted to ask you as well was knowing all the emotions that came out after both events, what meant more to you, winning the Cage Warriors belt or getting your first UFC win? What means more to you?
I don't know. That's a hard one, you know. I'd won the Cage Warriors belt, and I just couldn't believe it. Like when I'd won it, I was like, but like I say that, but like I knew I was gonna win it, but when I did win it, I couldn't believe it. It's the same with when I won that UFC fight. I was just so relieved when I won that UFC fight, more than like joy. It was just relief. But when I won the Cage Warriors title, I was just like I was over the moon. Like I was so happy. Yeah. But with that UFC win, because of all the shit, like the past couple of years, the losses and stuff, I was just relieved to get the win. And I just felt like it was the beginning. I was getting the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So
I suppose with the belt as well, you've got that nice shiny, shiny belt. Where is the belt? Where is it?
I've had to put it away because it was on my mantelpiece, but because my son, he just kept pulling it off, and he's got sharp edges on it, like, so he's gonna end up land in his bloody head or something. Little madman, keep pulling it off and ragging it about, so I had to put it away.
Oh man, we spoke to Graham Boylan about this, and he was saying that like he's always like, because I said to him, "Are you ever nervous putting it on?" And I think he said that he wasn't really, but he did say
no, he didn't. He said he was going to get you on to do the belt at the last event.
He did say that, but that's not going to happen. But I would shit myself because I know he said there's like sharp edges around it. Like you drop that on someone's toes after a fight, that's like their toes are gone.
It's like proper, like it's like knives on the edges, man. That's why I said I had to put it away because he kept ragging it off. I didn't want it to go in his bloody head. You know what I mean?
How old's your son?
He's 18 months in a week, I think. Yeah. Crazy.
Months. Oh.
Crazy.
How
mate.
difficult is that when you're like going to Vegas or going to Abu Dhabi or all the places you have to go to and stuff? That time away, is it quite short, condensed period? So it's not too bad, or is there or like you hear about some people, particularly in America, because it's such a big country, they'll be living in one place, but then going to train somewhere for 10 weeks somewhere else, and they're away from the family for all that time. Do you have difficulties being away, or is it just only short periods, so it's all right?
Yeah, it's like you say, it's only a week. Obviously, you know, and there's all FaceTime in that now, so I can see him. You know what I mean? And my family and my missus. So it's not that bad. I mean, as he's got older, it has got harder, to be honest. You know, as he can he recognizes me and he says my name and stuff, and so it's got harder. But I know I'm doing it for him. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know, it's only going to be a week, and I'll be back. So it's all worthwhile anyway in the long run. So you know, it's okay because I only go out like for a week. I mean, I was in Abu Dhabi and that was like nearly 2 weeks, so that was harder to be honest. But when it was just like a week in Vegas, you know, it wasn't as bad.
Yeah,
I get to see him on the FaceTime and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I've found that with like acting jobs and stuff. Like the first like 3 days, if you're away abroad doing a job, you're like, oh, it's quite nice. I wake up sort of when I want. I'm not being like having someone jump on my face early in the morning. But then after a few days, you're like, oh no, I really miss him now. And if you're on a long job, it's like, oh no, it's starting to get me down a bit.
Yeah, that's exactly. He's like, I feel like, oh, I'm gonna get some sleep. So I'll get in the Vegas hotel. I'm waking up like you say 2-3 days, like, you know, just like it's mad. Like I feel like I'm back I'm a teenager again. You know what I mean? Just waking up when I want and stuff. But then you start missing them. Yeah. So yeah, it swings and roundabouts, man.
Lovely. So what about life outside of the UFC, Joe? Like, what do you like to do?
It's a hard one. I mean, I'm mostly like I'm training and stuff. Obviously, like I still train every day. I mean, not every day. So I train like 6 times a week. Only once a day when I'm not in fight camp. Yeah, man, I spend time with my family and that. If I'm not in camp, you know, I like to go out on the weekend. Like I might go out and like, you know, my missus for a meal and that if I can, and then or my friends and that going like, you know, because I don't see them in camp, so I like to catch up with them and that, go out for a drink and stuff. Yeah, man, just chill, like watch a bit. Like I like to watch the fights as well, you know, like on the nights and that, the weekends. Watch the football and stuff. So yeah, man, I'm like a normal guy, to be honest, bro. Just do everything normal, to be honest. Nothing special, really.
But when you're out and about in town, you know, you're going for a meal with your missus and you get recognised and things like that. How is that for you? You comfortable with that?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, you know, just if people say hello and stuff, I say, oh, yeah, man, thanks I appreciate the support. That's what I always say to them. I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, Sam. So like, it's good, man, that people like notice you and they seem quite, you know, people seem proud of you as well. You know, that you're from Wolverhampton, you're bigging up your city. You know, it's not a big city, so like, that's why you get love as well. So like, it's lovely to see, man. You know, and people are like, you know, appreciate your work and appreciate like you're proud of what you're doing for the town, the city. So like, yeah, man, I don't mind it at all.
Lovely.
I wanted to ask you about I've been listening to a mate of ours, Sean Sheehan, over at Severe MMA. He had a podcast recently, and they were talking about eye poke situations, and I think it was Graham on the show was talking about like people should be punished more for eye pokes because, you know, you don't hear of eye pokes happening in sparring much and stuff. And I wanted to know, like, when you are sparring, are you sparring ever in the MMA gloves, or are you sparring in more boxing gloves? And if you are sparring in the MMA gloves, do eye pokes happen in training and sparring and stuff like that?
You see the MMA gloves you sparring, they're the sparring gloves, like the bumpers. So
like
they're
the
like
6-ounce ones or 8-ounce ones or whatever it is.
Yeah. So the 6 ounce. So they do like they curl your hand a bit more. So it's a bit harder to poke, if you know what I mean. So your hand's more like curled, really, if that makes sense. So I think it is harder to do the pokes, but I have been poked in the eye and I've poked people in the eye in sparring. But I think like when I was more amateur, it was happening. But like in the pros, it doesn't happen that much in our gym anyway, because I think people are like, you know, more aware of what they're doing. But I mean, it's a hard one, isn't it? Like, I mean,
yeah,
what are you gonna do, bro? Like the gloves are like how the gloves are. And they've got to be like that for the grappling. It's just it is what it is. Maybe like, you know, points should get taken sooner. Maybe that would stop it more. But I mean, you're never gonna fully stop it. But you know, if a point was taken, that would stop the person doing it again in the fight. So,
but again, and even in sparring, like. The intensity's less, isn't it? So you're not going to be as panicked, I guess, a lot of the time, maybe, and putting fingers out and stuff like that. Whereas in an actual fight, as you say, 4-ounce gloves, there might be moments of like, oh, I've got myself in a shit position and I'm not trying to intentionally poke anyone in the eye, but you are sort of just pushing your hands out a little bit more than maybe what you would in sparring.
I get that, yeah. Like when someone's coming at you, like you're framing away. But you can still close your fist and do that, you know what I mean? To keep a long, that's what I do in sparring, it's like a long, like a strong arm, like a jab. Yeah. Or instead of putting or even face my fingers up to the ceiling when I do it. Like I don't never face them forward towards my my training partner. But yeah, I mean the intensity is still intense. You're not like in MMA sparring, like the grappling and the wrestling is still like intense. But obviously the punches to the head are light. But the punches to the body and the kicks and stuff to the body and the legs they're quite intense as well.
What's your kind of sort of stance on sparring? Because we're hearing lots of kind of stories from fighters saying that they're far more sort of smart with their sparring now, and less is more and such. Then you've also got other camps. It's like, no, we spar hard and we spar regular. I just wonder where you and the gym sit on that.
Yeah, so the gym sits on it. Like, so we do Wednesday, we do big glove sparring. So it's more kickboxing, but that's shoot boxing. So you still go for takedowns. That's a bit heavier, but even then, we're not trying to knock each other out. You know, at the end of the day, we're training partners. We need to build each other up. You know, help each other. Not be knocking each other out and injuring each other. But you know, we don't want to be putting. You know, it's a long-term game. You know what I mean? You need longevity. And if you're knocking lumps out of each other every week, you're not going to get that. Saturday is MMA sparring, like with the bumper gloves on, MMA gloves. So obviously that's not heavy punches to the head. You know, obviously occasionally you might throw a heavy punch, but it's not like you don't do it intentionally. But you just got to be careful with that. You need to use more. You want to be doing more wrestling and stuff in that session. You know, work your grappling more and stuff, and you're entering to takedowns. But I think I think you need to spar. Like, there's no other way you're gonna get fight ready than sparring, bro. Like, you can do all the conditioning, all the grappling, the wrestling that you want to do. Like, that will help obviously with your conditioning. But bro, like, there's nothing closer to a fight than sparring and intense sparring. Even with the intense sparring, you don't have to you don't have to like be giving each other like concussions and stuff. You can still be intense, like volume. You know what I mean? You still have to knock lumps out of each other. That's how we do it anyway. We're still quite intense, but like we're not sending each other on with headaches and stuff. But you have to spar, especially amateurs. I mean, when you get more like, I mean, these top bros like Max Holloway might say don't spar. Well, that's Max Holloway, ain't it? He might not need to do as much sparring or whatever. But like guys coming up in the game, like you need to be working on your distance. You know, your combinations. Not much. Sorry, your distance. Your defense is more important. Then your combinations, your tactics. You know, that stuff you need to work on, and you ain't gonna get all that. That's not gonna be sharp unless you're sparring. Like, how? Pads. That, you know what I mean? How you gonna work your distance and that with pads when a man's trying to move in on you and moving back and stuff, and your defense. Oh, because your pad man's throwing hooks at you, and like, you know, that does help obviously with your defense and you're slipping. That does help, but like the only way you're gonna get as close to a fight is sparring.
Yeah, I think that is the key thing, is that when you got people like Holloway or Robbie Lawler saying, "Oh, we're not really sparring anymore," or we're sparring that's incredibly lightly and stuff like that. Exactly, yeah. These are people that have had enough wars for more than 100 people. So yeah, they know what it is to be in a fight. As you say, coming up, if you're not sparring and you're not having that regular thing, and the only thing you've got close to the fight is the fight itself, that's not going to work out well for you, is it?
Exactly. I mean, I'm not advising and for the youngers coming up and for the Amis and that to be knocking lumps out of each other. But like, you know, they can look at the Eastern Europeans, look at the Cuban amateur teams, boxing teams and that. Them like playing tag. That's how they spar, like, mostly. Obviously they have now and again they have an intense one, you know what I mean? But you know, that's how you should be, like, you sparring, you're practicing your head movement, you're practicing your distance. You know, you're not, you know, it's intense, but you're not trying to knock lumps out of each other. Because at the end of the day, like, we've all got families and stuff, and when we finish fighting, you know, we want to be able to like string a sentence together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We talked about your son. I know he's only 18 months old, but if he turns around to you on one day and says, "Dad, I want to be a fighter," what would you say? How would you feel about that?
I'll be honest, like, he can do what he wants in it, but I'll be honest, I prefer if he wasn't. Yeah. Like, because I mean, I might change my view like when I get older and I see him and if he's really good and stuff, you know what I mean? But I mean, it is a cutthroat business, you know what I'm trying to say? It's his 1 minute, you know, everyone loves you and you know, it's top of the world. Next minute, you know, boom, you lost. No one gives a shit, like, whatever, you know. But it's the business in it, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, and you're getting lumps knocked out of you, getting injuries. You don't get paid enough. You know what I mean? No one gets paid enough Not even them. Not even bloody AJ and Tyson Fury. Them man don't get paid enough to get brain damage or anything. I'm not saying they have or they got it or whatever.
Yeah.
But no one gets paid enough to be getting concussed and getting knocked out and getting brain damage and stuff like that. So if he was gonna be a fighter, then I'd be like, he'd have to be one of them elusive guys. Who's not the man who's standing in the pocket trading. He'd have to be like, hit and not get hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and are you very conscious of that, the damage taken, where like when you're going into fights or looking back on old fights and stuff like that, are you thinking to yourself, I've taken so much damage, and are you preparing for when you think, Matt, I've had enough now? Are you preparing for what comes next after the MMA career?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, I look at fights and obviously I try not to, like I was saying, the sparring and everything, I try not to take damage and stuff. And I look, in fights, it's hard, it's going to happen. But the thing that I think, a lot of people say this, what puts miles on you and what causes all that, like, these injuries and stuff is the sparring, is the hard sparring. It's not really the fights, I don't think. It's the sparring every week and, causing damage. But, yeah, I mean, and I'm preparing for after the fight. I want to I love to set up a gym. I'm going to be a trainer, coach. I don't really want to go back to scaffolding. That's why I'm preparing for the future now. And it's like, hopefully inspire some other people in Wolverhampton, some other youth.
Would that be setting up your own personal gym, or would you be a coach at a gym that's already established?
I could do both, to be honest. I love to have a big gym in Wolverhampton. Like a good mega gym. Earn some good money and set up a big gym in Wolves. Coach there as well. And if obviously I'd love to continue helping out Renegades, because obviously they've helped me out. Tons. Loads. So if they need me, I'd be there for them as well.
There's a fight coming up in a couple of weeks, which just want to kind of get your thoughts on. Poirier Oliveira. Just wondering how you see that one going.
Probably Poirier. I think, I think he's just going to be. It's just like, I think he's just going to be too big and too strong to get Oliveira to get him out of there, man. But I'm saying that, but like Chandler is a big, strong dude, and like Oliveira knocked him out. Then he TKO'd him. Yeah. But I feel like Poirier at lightweight now, he's just he seems so durable and so like he just knows how to like ride the shots and everything, and like he's just like he's no back step from him. He don't give up, like he's a tank at lightweight, man. So I think Poirier will probably win that. What do you think?
I think the durability is a really big factor. And I think of Poirier as a bit more durable than Oliveira, because I can see them both landing shots, and I can see it actually being quite a good, exciting fight. I think there's a narrative out there where like Oliveira's been seen as like someone that, when it really gets hard, he gives up a little bit. And I don't believe in that. I mean, we saw in the Chandler fight, he was almost out and all that. And he's, look what he did to Tony Ferguson and Chandler and was it RDA maybe as well? Like he's had a lot of very, very good wins, and he's been on a really good win streak. I think Oliveira's maybe being underrated a little bit, but I do think that Poirier, now that Khabib is gone, is possibly the best lightweight in the world at the moment. And and I think the durability factor. Sorry?
You think he's better than Islam Makhachev?
Oh, actually, no, you made me rethink that. I think Makhachev Makhachev's an absolute beast. I think definitely Makhachev needs. I mean, he's got to fight Beneil Dariush. I think that's the most interesting fight.
That's a great fight.
That's the most interesting fight. I think Makhachev's wrestling is just so good that almost any other fight feels like, Makhachev probably win. And I probably would, if Makhachev was fighting Poirier, I'd probably slightly favour Makhachev, but not as much as like Khabib Poirier. I think there's less of a discrepancy there. But I think Dariush Makhachev is a great fight.
It's a great fight.
Yeah, that's a great fight. Yeah, great fight. That he's looking for. When is that one? Is that February or something?
I think that's booked, February. Yeah, that's all booked. Dariush, and then obviously Gaethje's the one who obviously just beat Chandler and is probably the next guy in line for the shot. And then unless Makhachev or Dariush do something amazing, I think it's going to be the winner of Poirier Oliveira versus Gaethje. and then the winner of that versus the winner of Dariush and Makachev.
I'd love to see like Makachev or something against like Chandler, like a good strong wrestler. How that would go down like. That'd be a good fight. But going back to what you were saying about Oliveira, and I was saying like I've heard a couple of things like even Gates saying, "Oh, there's no dog in that man."
Yeah.
When it gets tough, it go. But is that when were them? What fights are you talking about? The fights at featherweight when he's probably like drained and stuff. You know what I mean? Proper like.
That's what I've been thinking. Like his chin probably wasn't there as much because he's dehydrating himself
Look
so
at
much.
Poirier. Poirier's been stopped a few times at featherweight.
Yeah.
And that's just I think that's down to the dehydration and stuff. Do you know?
Yeah.
So I
agree.
I feel like maybe at lightweight they're both like firing better. More durable.
I think it's actually a really close fight. I think it's going to be a good one.
It is. Yeah, it's going to be class. That's 11th, isn't it? Next weekend. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, we've took up plenty of your time, Joe. We really appreciate you.
Been a pleasure, mate. Been a pleasure
to us today, mate. And just I guess want to know, what's it immediately in the future. I guess there's no fight booked at the moment, so I suppose it's keep training and wait for the fight to come, right?
Yeah. So I'm training. I'm looking to get fit enough. So if the short, like you say, London, if that comes up, I can jump on that, or like a short notice fight comes up, I can jump on that as well. And then I want to get a good win again, because then I can it'll be the last fight on my contract. So I want to make a good impression, and and then get another contract signed, and kick on from there. I mean, I think when I first come in the UFC, I was thinking too much forward, but now I've just matured more a bit and settled into it and realised that this every fighter in the UFC now, is at an elite level. So I'm just taking it fight by fight, concentrating on every fight by fight now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, Jai, we wish you all the best. Fingers crossed for the London card. Have a great Christmas. I don't know whether this episode will be out before Christmas or not, but have a great Christmas. Or if this has come out afterwards, I hope you had a great Christmas.
You too, brother. You too.
Yeah. All the best, mate. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Jai. Cheers,
Listen,
man.
thanks for having me on. Yeah, you can anytime, man. Anytime. Yeah.